Hello, my name is Katie Foster and I'm a Senior Associate in the Corporate Finance practice in London. I'm joined today by Mo Al-Shukairy, who is a corporate partner based in Dubai who covers the Middle East. Mo has kindly agreed to join us today to share his insights on the public M&A activity that he's seeing in the Middle East. So Mo, you recently led the Clifford Chance team advising on a landmark multi-billion-dollar public company merger in Abu Dhabi. In light of that merger and other activity that you've been seeing in that region, could you share your thoughts on the latest public M&A trends in the Middle East?
Sure. Let me start by saying that public M&A in the Middle East is very much in its infancy. There have only been a handful of genuine public M&A transactions in the Gulf, for example, for the last 4 or 5 years. But there are certainly signs of increased activity. One trend that is emerging is government-driven mergers of public listed companies to create a national champion that is able to then deliver public policy in terms of economic diversification or to assist with the development of important public infrastructure. The merger in Abu Dhabi that you referred to is between Aldar and Saruh, two publicly listed companies in Abu Dhabi that are in the real estate space, the real estate developers. They are widely held by retail investors. So Saruh, to give you an example, has 37,000 shareholders. The legal significance of that merger is it's the first ever statutory merger in the UAE, all share swap, and the way it works is provided you obtain shareholder approval, certain regulatory consents, and pass successfully through creditor objection exercise, you're able to transfer all of the assets and liabilities of one company to the other by operation of law and deliver 100% ownership of the company from day one, which is quite significant from an integration perspective as well. Another trend worth mentioning is that we're seeing consolidation in certain sectors. Financial services is the obvious one, where it's quite a fragmented market with too many players. I suppose coupled with a strategic imperative for a lot of regional banks to expand outside of what are relatively small local markets, we're beginning to see further public M&A activity in financial services. And one recent example is we've advised QNB on its acquisition of NSGB, which is a leading bank in Egypt, which prior to the acquisition was owned and managed by Société Générale. The significance in that transaction is it was a cross-border transaction, and it was quite interesting to see that the regulators in Egypt were much more amenable to foreign acquirers than they historically have been. A final point on this area is that I certainly think there's room for further consolidation across the Gulf in a number of sectors, and provided certain obstacles to public M&A can be successfully navigated or removed, I can see further consolidation in the coming years.
And so these obstacles that you mentioned, can you tell us a bit more about what you mean?
Yes. Historically, low levels of public M&A activity in the region resulted from 2 or 3 features or realities. The first is culture. The Middle East is not an environment that facilitates or is accustomed to unsolicited approaches or hostile takeovers. So it's also worth mentioning that prospective bidders do not really have a legal mechanism by which they can force through a disclosure by a target company. A second obstacle is government policy. You may know that a lot of the public listed companies in the Middle East have got cornerstone government shareholdings, and governments have been very reluctant to facilitate, let alone encourage, take privates. Governments are keen to see that regional exchanges have additional listings rather than see companies come off the market. And a final and important obstacle is that the legal and regulatory framework in this regard is still quite incomplete. Apart from 1 or 2 exceptions, most notably Saudi and Egypt, the jurisdictions in the Middle East do not have specific regimes that provide a framework for conducting takeovers or stake building in their markets. And what that means is that there are a number of mechanisms that we are accustomed to in more developed markets that do not exist yet in the region. To give you a few examples, squeeze-out rights. In the Middle East, there is no squeeze-out procedure, so a bidder crossing a certain majority threshold is still not able to squeeze out minority shareholders. Another weakness or area of incompleteness is that a bidder wishing to offer its own shares as acquisition currency is not able to convene an EGM to disapply preemption rights. So again, that's a key obstacle. A final obvious obstacle in this regard is you may know that in the Middle East there are fairly stringent foreign ownership restrictions which effectively limit the pool of prospective bidders that could target public listed companies in the region.
Thank you very much, Mo.
Pleasure.